Let's tie a Copper John today. I tend to tie them in red and green because that seems to work better than the copper. The Copper John is a medium difficulty because it has more materials than what we've typically used in the other flies, and it has more layers. So it's a little tougher to tie, particularly at size 16, like I'm showing you today. Like usual, we're going to wrap our base thread, which is red. So wrap it on the hook behind the head. Wrap your tag around the thread and then continue wrapping toward the end of the hook. Then we're going to cut the tag and continue wrapping toward the end of the hook, and then we'll stop just past the point. Now we're tying either the turkey biot or the turkey feather on for the tail. Notice I'm twisting it around to lay it on top and to get it lined up where there are two pieces and to make sure they look like a V. Then tie your red wire on top of there. So again, this is another layer, and like before, always wrap your thread in the same direction. Wrap your materials in the same direction. We're going to build the body up a little bit, whether it's a little smaller toward the head, it gets bigger, but not real big. It's not like a perdigon, probably more like a root beer midge. And then we don't want to put too much material on or thread there because we've got to have room for the wire. So now wrapping the wire around the body, same direction like we discussed. Since I have red thread, this wire doesn't have to be really close together. Now, if you didn't use red thread, you would want the red wire to be right next to each loop. When we get near to the head, we're going to run a wrap of thread behind the tag to secure it, to secure the wire. A couple loops. Now we're going to cut the tag, trim it off tight there. Now we're going to put a drip of epoxy UV flow thickness epoxy on there. I just took my finger and took off some of the extra. We want to have that on there for about 10 seconds all the way around. We want it shiny and durable, so I'm going to put another layer of the flow level UV epoxy on there, trying to keep it off the tail. This makes it a little more shiny and adds some durability to it. Like before, I'm going to wipe off the excess so it doesn't build up too much. There we go. 10 seconds like before. The light will cure it and make it hard. Now that we're done with the red, we're going to do a quick whip knot. Your finish knot there behind the head. We're going to pull the tool out slowly while lifting up so we don't have any slack. Now we're going to cut the tag and start tying on the black thread the same way we do as the base. Want to wrap the tag around it, then keep wrapping the line around. Notice we're still running it in the same direction as we did with the red. Now we're going to tie the pearl tinsel hot spot on top, and then we're going to wrap the black around it a little bit. They'll be about a 1/16 of an inch long. Next, we're going to tie on the peacock feathers on each side. Those are going to be the little gills. Right now they're long, so we're going to snip those off shortly. And this might take you a couple of tries. And they don't have to look perfect. This thing is in the water. Frankly, I don't think the fish cares a whole lot. They're looking at general shape and color. They're not down to the super detail, I don't think. Particularly as long as the fly is presented correctly. Now what I'm doing now is I'm trying to cover up that spot though. Now we're going to lay the tinsel down flat. I'm going to hold it flat with my finger, pull the feather back, then hold it down with my finger, and then wrap a loop right behind the head to hold down the flashing, and then I'm going to trim off the flashing tag. We'll trim it close. Then we're going to trim off some of the extra feathers that were in the front there. We'll call them the tag feathers. And then we're going to hold the feathers back and then tie a few more loops. Now, to be honest, I probably should stop about now, actually a little before then, because I covered up some of my hot spot. There's still some there, so it's okay. There's no sense in retying the fly. We'll do a whip knot like we did before, keep the pressure on, pull it tight without breaking it, and then snip the tag. Now it's time to trim the feathers, and the feathers again are quote the gills, and there'll be a clump on each side, and they need to be a bit at an angle, but again, it doesn't have to be perfect. And then we'll trim off the feather that's on the top. You know, I'd say it's about an 8 on that fly. They're about a 1/16 to an 1/8 of an inch long. Again, on each side. And we're going to trim that little tall piece that's on the top. We're going to trim it off. And what I don't show in the video is I trim off about half of that last tail. It's a little long. So there you go. That is a Copper John in red. This fly works well February through October, fished as either a nymph, or you can also fish it like a wet fly on the drift. I hope you found this video useful, and if you haven't subscribed, I ask that you please do so, because I update this video a lot and add a lot of new flies and other content. Thank you, and hope you have a great time on the river.